Hey guys, welcome to the video. So I've been talking a ton about the upcoming stock market crash and all that stuff, but something else we need to be aware of is the sports betting market crash. There's a ton of things going around about NBA players, the racism. They don't want to play in the NBA anymore. They don't want to finish out the season. They're kind of protesting in a way. I want to talk about all that, how it could affect these stocks and which stocks I'm still buying for the sports betting industry and which stocks I'm staying away of, and just overall advice of what to do in this crazy market, and especially with these sports betting stocks. Stay tuned till the end of the video and I'll give you guys all my positions on the sports betting stocks and all the plays that I plan to make. So make sure to stay tuned for that. If you're interested in joining the stock group, the link's down below. $4.99 a month for our portfolio update every day, nightly watch lists, nightly plays for the next day, and great conversations with over 250 plus investors. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Stay tuned till the end and hope you enjoy. Let's get into it. So just giving you guys some background on myself. I'm a huge sports fan. I love the NBA, the MLB, the NFL. I keep up with all the updates, with all the big news coming out, and I watch like pretty much all the games that I have the time to watch. So I'm a big sports fan, and I research this all the time. I really want the NBA to come back. I really want everything else. So this is coming from me, who knows a ton about the sports industry and what I think these players will do. Let's talk about the leader of the protests from the NBA. Kyrie Irving, a member of the Brooklyn Nets. He's the NBA star, and he said, "I don't support going into Orlando. I'm not with the systematic racism and the BS. Something smells a little fishy. I'm willing to give up everything I have for social reform." Irving was on a call with 80 plus players trying to get them to protest with him, trying to be like, "Hey guys, we need to protest. We need to do something about this. We have a big platform," and they're trying to use this. There's a bunch of other players, such as LeBron James, who are all into the NBA coming back. They say that we should end the racism while keep playing. We can use that as support, which personally, I think is the best option for these players. But the fact that this news is going around, the fact that Irving is gathering up a bunch of players to come help him out with these protests, this is big news for the sports industry as a whole and can affect the sports betting market dramatically. And especially these sports betting stocks will get hit crazy hard with all the fear going around that, dang, the NBA might not come back this year. So on this call, Irving is just trying to rile these players up, saying he doesn't support going to finish the season in Orlando. Now, some background on Irving: he is out for the season with an injury, but he would have to give up $6 to $7 million just by sitting out the season, even though he's not even playing. So this is big, and it's not just like, oh, he's not going to make any money because he's hurt. No, he's giving up a ton of money if he does actually sit out and protest against the NBA. So some other big NBA stars who are actually not injured, including Carmelo Anthony, Dwight Howard, and Donovan Mitchell, they're potentially going to protest as well and sit out the season. A source said Kyrie Irving led a call of 80 plus NBA players, including Chris Paul, Kevin Durant, and I'll let you guys read the rest of that. But they're protesting against the social injustice, and they're wanting to reform the community. They wanted to protest and say Black Lives Matter. I fully support what they're saying. I fully support if they sit out, but I think the best option for them personally is for them to play the season and just support the BLM movement through it all. Using this article source, one agent estimates that 2/3 of the top 40 players in the NBA would refuse to play under the proposed restrictions, which is insane to me. The fact that 2/3, which would be over 20, like 25 or so, of these players are planning to possibly sit out the season. This would destroy the sports betting market as a whole, because NBA is one of the most betted on sports. And the fact that if these NBA players sit out, this could lead to more NFL players sitting out. This could lead to the NFL being affected as well, which I'll get into in a second. But that is super duper scary for the sports betting market and the sports market as a whole. Like I said before, Irving is injured, but don't ignore the $6 to $7 million he'd be forfeiting. This is a substantial amount of money, and the fact that he's willing to give this up, and other players are making way less than him, and if they just follow his movement, if they follow what he's saying, his principles, he could really start a movement, because he's a very looked up to big star in the NBA, and he has a lot of NBA buddies, stuff like that. He's just a big icon for the NBA. So the fact that he's giving up $6 to $7 million, this shows, dang, he's really into this movement. He's really giving something up. He's not just sitting out a hurt season that he would already be on the bench for. This is just another quick source that Donovan Mitchell and Carmelo have also talked about setting out the NBA restart because of the racial injustice. Just another source to support this theory that they could possibly set out the season. And also the fact that the NBA is scared of coming back and pushing the season back because of the potential Olympics coming up. If that actually plays out, that's another reason that the sports market could crash. If they actually cancel the season, it's not confirmed that the NBA is coming back. Adrian Wojnarowski, he's a big NBA reporter. He reports all the news. It said that the NBA is coming back at the end of July. But if things change, which is always possible, there's nothing set in stone yet, even though the NBA got confirmed to come back. If these players protest, if the virus scares away this thing, and also if the Olympics come back and they cancel the season because of that, because NBA players can't play in the NBA and train for the Olympics at the same time, they just can't overlap. So this is another way that the sports market could be hit very, very hard. Now check out this. Michael Bennett said, if NFL action, null support and void, if owners still support Donald Trump, he's not interested in playing the season, it says in this article. So that's insane. And the fact that he's trying to start the movement in the NFL as well, if the NFL supports Donald Trump and all that, that's insane. Because if the NFL is the most bet on sport in the world, and if the NFL gets affected by this racial injustice as well, this would call for a full sports crash. And the fact that these seasons could be greatly affected, people will be so uninterested in betting as of now. And if these seasons get canceled somehow, that is horrible for the market as a whole. So let's talk about some of these particular sports betting stocks and how they could be affected, and a bunch of data on what I think is going to happen with these sports betting stocks if something scary plays out in the sports market. So I'm going to be looking into these stocks using a lot of Robinhood data, and the reason is because these people love sports. Millennials, which own Robinhood usually, and beginner investors, they get scared very easily and they will sell off if something scary happens with the NBA and the NFL and stuff like that. So looking at DraftKings, first of all, this is my least favorite of the sports betting stocks. I believe that it's overvalued, and I believe the growth opportunity is less than with Penn National and GAN. So looking at this, the Robinhood users have owned this stock increasingly over time, and it's finally leveled out a little bit. But if something was to happen with this one, I do believe that this stock would get crushed, possibly below 20 if the NBA and NFL seasons get potentially canceled due to the virus, first of all, and also the racial injustice protests. So next we're going to be looking at Penn National Gaming. This is also a very heavily owned Robinhood stock, as you can see with the recent jump in ownership. And this is a stock that I'm very bullish on as well. And I believe my big thesis on this one is that in the Q3 earnings call, they will release and announce the release of the Barstool sports betting app, which is going to get millennials super excited. But the excitement will be very toned down if these sports get potentially canceled, if these seasons potentially end way sooner than expected. So that's something to be aware of. If this stock was to drop on news like that, I would be a very heavy buyer into Penn National Gaming. So this next stock that I'm going to be talking about is GAN, and this is not very owned by Robinhood users. This is also a big upside point of this stock and a big reason that I'm super bullish. As you can see, it's the 559th most owned stock in Robinhood, which is super low compared to these other sports betting stocks. And the fact that sports betting as a whole is super hyped, and these sports stocks are super hyped as well. I believe that GAN has so much upside to have more ownership on Robinhood especially, and just with these millennial buyers potentially buying into the stock. But this stock would definitely be hurt by the potential end of the sports season this year. And I would be a very heavy buyer, especially if the stock gets down to 15 or below. I will load up on this stock as I have in the past. I have taken a lot of profits on this stock already, and I sold out of my position already. But I do plan on buying heavy in the stock before earnings, first of all, which is this coming week, and also buying heavy long term. This is one of my favorite long term stocks, if not my very favorite long term stock. So I've been getting a ton of questions asking my opinion on the BETZ ETF, which tracks the whole sports betting market as a whole. And I really do like this ETF, but I would rather own a single stock, such as I'd rather load up on Penn National Gaming and also GAN stock instead of loading up on BETZ. This does help with diversification, but I believe the upside is so much lower and the downside risk is a lot higher as well. So that's the reason that I'm staying away from bets for now, and I would rather build up my own like ETF type thing with just GAN and Penn, like 50-50, instead of going all into the BETZ ETF. So here's a quick look at the earnings coming up next week. And on Tuesday after close, GAN is announcing earnings. And I plan to go build up a pretty good sized position on GAN before earnings, because my thesis on their earnings is they'll just get a ton of investors excited, especially millennial investors who love the sports betting market. I do believe that this is a very solid earnings play and 20% upside scenario. I believe the stock will go over 20. I'm not going heavy in the stock because of the whole market as a whole. Very overvalued. I do expect a very big correction next week, especially on Monday. I'm expecting a bloodbath. But I am looking to start a position again, sometime before earnings, just in case I don't miss out on the great earnings call, which is potential. But also be aware of the downside risk. If it's not a great earnings call, the stock could get hit even harder. In that scenario, I would buy more for long-term positions. So I currently do not hold any sports betting stocks. I sold out of my huge position on GAN. I took profits on that one just because of the whole market as a whole. I believe that GAN will go down with the market if the market crashes, which I'm expecting a slight crash next week. But I do love the stock long term, and I will build up a huge position once again long term once I believe that the market just levels off to fair value. Next, I sold out my position in Penn National as well. I would love to have a huge position in this before the Q3 earnings call, because this Barstool sports betting app should be announced then, in my opinion. That's my prediction. That's my thesis on that. So I will build out a huge position. I love this stock long term. I love this Barstool sports app. As for DraftKings, I do not plan on building a position in this unless the value is amazing to me, but I believe the upside is so much lower than GAN and Penn National Gaming as well. And for the BETZ ETF, I would like a small position in the stock just for some diversification, but I'm not looking at any substantial position in this one. And it's solid long term as a sports betting play, but I do like the upside of Penn and GAN is way more than this one. Guys, thanks so much for watching the video. Join the stock group down below. Join the community of over 250 plus investors that all work together, find the best opportunities in the market, and get rich together. In that group, I do post my portfolio every day. I do post updates every day. I do give you guys my moves before I make them, and I post nightly watch lists. But one thing I don't do is I don't tell you to buy a specific stock. I can't tell you, yes, buy this stock if you ask me the question. I can give you my thoughts on it, but I'm not here to tell you guys what to do. I'm here to help you guys become self-sufficient investors. Also, there's stock for Webull down below. It's a limited time offer. It ends the end of June, but you do get 2 free stocks. And also with your Robinhood, you get 1 free stock if you want to check out that link below and you don't have accounts on those platforms either. Please like the video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please leave a comment of future videos that you'd like me to make. And thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let's get rich.